Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're doing a full face of March favorites. These are most of them new products to me that I've been testing out, that I've maybe done speed reviews on, but I haven't really made known how much I actually love them. And there are a couple of things that haven't even made it to the speed reviews yet, but that I already know are favorites. And then there are a couple of older products that I've rediscovered during my Shop My Stash or something else that I'd also like to mention. So that's what we're doing today. Subscribe if you like the video. My name is Cecile, I live in the Netherlands. I upload 3 long videos a week and a short every day or so. So yeah, I'm really trying to step things up over here. So if that sounds interesting to you, then please consider subscribing. Now let's get into this full face. So I already primed my eyes using this BU eyeshadow primer that is almost done. I think I have 1 or 2 more uses and then this can finally go to its resting place. It's very old. Now I have selected 2 eyeshadow palettes here. One you can probably guess if you've seen any of my videos this month, and that's the Minka palette from Adept Cosmetics, and it's so beautiful. We may dip into this. But because I've used it so much, I've also selected this one. This was a surprise for me. So I borrowed this from my mom. It was a present from me to her months ago. Finally borrowed it and I fell in love. Quality, I did a side-by-side with Jeffree Star and the quality of this one was not quite as good. Well, it wasn't as pigmented, but I did like the finished look more. And I also like the color story more. So, and also I like the brand a lot more. So yeah, I thought we could do another look with this one. Let's just do it. So in case I didn't mention, this is the Winter is Coming palette from the Makeup Revolution and Game of Thrones collaboration. I actually have the other 2 palettes as well. I think the red one, Mother of Dragons, is my favorite, but this one is a close second. So I wanted to see if I could do a neutral or gray look for today, maybe with a hint of blue. So I'm going to go into this deeper gray, which is called Lord. Because I did a couple of blue looks with this one and they worked out fine. But I see there's a little bit of purple left on my brush. Please ignore that. I need to wash my brushes again. So I think the only thing that's missing from this palette is a black. Or a very dark gray. I think that would be amazing if that was in here. But you know, that's something that most people already have in their collections. I'm going to take this slanted blender brush and I'm going into this bone shade, which is called White Walker. And I'm going to use that to soften the edges wherever I feel like the gray went a little bit too heavy. Yeah, that definitely looks a lot more blended. Now I'm going to take the silver, which is called Wall of Ice. I'm going to see what that looks like on its own. I actually think that isn't bad. I'm going to take this small little brush and I'm going into the white pearly shade, which is called White Raven. I'm going to use that, of course, as an inner corner. I hadn't done a full look using only the grays or the neutrals. And I'm surprised I really like this look. Well, I'm not really surprised. This palette is in my favorites for a reason, but I thought I was mainly into the blues. And you know what? I've been doing this recently. I'm also going to put it underneath or sort of in the brows. I've been liking the drama with my looks. And now I'm going to dip into one of the blues. This one over here, which is called Motto. This is actually one of my favorite shades in this palette. And I'm just going to add that little hint of blue in the lower lash line. So this would be what it looks like. And I can't help myself. I'm going to add just a little bit of this Minka palette on the lid. I'm going to take the shade Minka, which is a silver. I'm going to tap See, it blends in beautifully, but it's just, yeah, you can't compete with a $60 palette, right? But I did really like the look before I added this, but I want the most sparkly look today. And this palette doesn't actually have a good inner corner shade, so you actually could combine these two together really well. So this is my sparkly wintry look. I know it's spring now, but you know, it's not that warm here in the Netherlands. I don't think I discovered them this month, but I'm going to use the Kruidvat eye pencils for my lower waterline because look how pigmented they are. And then I don't really have a favorite upper eyeliner or mascara, so I'll add those and lashes and then I'll come back. So I'm back. I added a black eyeliner in my upper waterline. I added some black mascara, the last remaining little bit of this one. I added these lashes. These are the strawberry shortcake lashes from Glamlight. This collection only became available in the Netherlands very recently, so I did pick up a couple of things from it. And I really like the lashes. I really like Glamlight's lashes whenever they don't overdo it with how big they are. If you've seen my recent shorts, you'll know what I'm talking about. So that's the eye makeup all done. Now let's get into some face makeup. I have a lot of favorites and I don't really know what I want to use. I think I want to use my Gucci foundation because whenever I did my review, I think I said it was pretty good, but I wasn't really sure about how it would work in different circumstances. Well, this works beautifully in all kinds of circumstances. So it works good when I'm cycling through the rain. It looks good when I'm when I have a very oily primer underneath. There's lots of things that actually still work with this one. So that's why I want to mention it as my favorite. I did really like it. If you want a dupe, by the way, I did do a side by side and I felt like the True Skin from Catrice, weirdly enough, is pretty similar, but I do like this one better. So let's use this one. And then the base that I, of course, have to use is the Super Base from Makeup Revolution. I think look, I mean, I already hit pan in it. I didn't mention it in my recent pan video. I should have. So this is the Vitamin Enriched Super Base from Makeup Revolution. I don't have the Bobbi Brown version. I'm sure it's great, but I really love this one as well. I don't know, it's an all-round primer. It's not too sticky or too heavy or too slippery, but it still provides a good base for any type of foundation. It's nice and moisturizing without looking too heavy. So back to the foundation. I have mine in the shade 130W, which is in the fair range. I really love the packaging. I mean, I love packaging. You probably know that if you've been on this channel for longer. If something is wrapped in this kind of sweater, then I'm definitely buying it. But I also really like the aesthetic of Gucci products. So what I've discovered is that this isn't quite as full coverage as I gave it credit for, which is good. It's actually, if you spread it out with just a couple of pumps, then it's more of a medium coverage with a natural finish, which looks really pretty and it's bulletproof. So therefore I started really liking this foundation even more. And you can build it up to be a lot more full coverage and a lot more mask-like, which I'm sure will happen sometimes too. But I really like the spread out application. Weirdly enough, I am having a little bit of difficulty today, especially on my nose, and I think that's because I went in too quickly. So I applied my primer and I went in with foundation straight away. I do think you have to let the primer soak in just at least for a minute. But as you can see, this is pretty much a medium coverage foundation. I have this little spot over here, which is usually a good indicator for me. I can still see it halfway. I can still sort of see it. And also my redness, it is covered, but not in an extremely mask-like way. And this is the way I like to wear this foundation. So I have a couple of concealers that I've been testing out, and at least one of them I'm very, very much still making up my mind about. And one I know I love, which is the Huda. But I feel like I discovered a couple of days ago that I also really, really love this one from Too Faced. This is the Born This Way Ethereal Light Concealer. And today I want to see if it also works with a slightly more full coverage foundation, because I've been using this concealer in combination with skin tints, and then it's just gorgeous. But since I feel like this foundation spreads out to medium max, I feel like this will work as well. I like the fact that this is very lightweight. It doesn't crease easily. The color is great. This is Vanilla Waver. I can add quite a bit of it without it creasing more. Now, my favorite brow products aren't here, but I've been discovering this one from Wet n Wild. This is the Brow Maximizer Powder and Gel Duo. I especially love this gel, but I also love a good brow powder. So that's the one we're going to use today. I have this in the shade Medium Brown, which is a good match for my brows, but it's a little bit deeper than I would prefer. But it works out fine. So I'm putting in the brow powder right now while the concealer is setting a little bit. So it looks a little bit heavy now, but watch the magic happen whenever I add the gel. And before I do that, I have to set my face. So I'm going to blend out the concealer first. This looks crazy, I know, but it'll blend out. So I'm just going to blend out the concealer with this 4D foundation brush from Primark. And as you can see, there's just a lot of lightness underneath my eyes and a lot of glow without anything metallic. And I think I've proven my point that this concealer works with a lot. So especially if you let it set for a little bit, then the coverage is pretty high. Or at least I feel like the coverage leans towards a medium. So yeah, you can definitely also use it in combination with real foundations and not just skin tints. So this is what the concealer and the foundation look like together, and I think they work together beautifully, actually. Yeah, I'm starting to like this Gucci foundation even more. Look at what a nice glow it has. Now, before we set with powder, I feel like we should use this cream bronzer, because this is truly one of the best discoveries I've made. It's not the most interesting product, but this is a cream bronzer from Essence. This is the Baby Got Bronze. And I've been using this, and it's just the best cream bronzer. It's so smooth, it blends out so easily, it's pigmented enough, but it's not too pigmented. It has a nice natural finish, but most of all, the color is just so right for me. I've been comparing this one to the cream bronzer that Makeup Revolution Pro just brought out, which I also like, but it's really warm. And this is just such a beautiful neutral toned bronzer. Also, it has a fake watermelon scent, but it smells like candy canes for me. And I kind of like it. I don't usually like watermelon scents, but I do like this one. So I just apply around my face, and then I take my brush. I did notice, and this is a little bit alarming, but it did start to dry out just a little bit. It's not quite as emollient as it was about a month ago whenever I purchased it. So I'll keep you posted on that in a speed reviews. If it starts to dry down even more over the course of the next couple of weeks, yeah, then that could definitely be a reason to not purchase it. But the product itself still works fine. I just wanted to mention that. See how pretty that blends out? And this one is definitely neutral. It's not cool either. It's just not very orange. And I like it, especially with a more cool toned eye. So I'm going to use a powder blush so we can now set the face. The face. And what else can I use but this Givenchy powder? I think this is all the rave on the internet right now, but I've been loving it as well. I've been saying this more, but I always thought that the pinky Givenchy powder was a little bit too dark for me, but I don't know what I was thinking. It works perfectly. Maybe it's just that my tastes have changed a little bit. So I just dab a little bit into the cap. Then I make sure there are no creases underneath my eyes, which there hardly are with the Too Faced concealer. And I just find I've been using other powders as well, but there's nothing that can compete with the lightness but still the effectiveness of this powder. So with just a little bit of powder, I can definitely get a little bit of a smooth velvet look. But if I add too much powder, it's not like it becomes a desert all of a sudden. It still looks nice. So I find myself setting a lot more of my face than I usually do. Just because this powder doesn't change too much. It makes it look a little bit more smooth, and that's always nice. But it still looks kind of glowy. Doesn't change the color too much. So I really like it, look. It just still looks very healthy, but a little bit less sweaty. Now we can use the brow gel from the Wet n Wild. And this is weird because I've told this many times, but my brows are very stubborn. And I don't think it's because they're very thick or unruly or anything. I just think my hairs, also my head hairs, are a little bit slippery by nature. But this brow gel, it really works for me. It'll keep my brows like this all day. And also by doing this little combing motion, powder also gets distributed through the brows, and it loses a little bit of the intensity, which is just what I want. And then I have this brow look, and I don't even know if I still prefer my brow pen. I feel like I might add the brow pen afterwards still, but this is definitely a good alternative. And it may become my new favorite. It's definitely the favorite of the month. So a couple of things left. I've been using this little thing as my mirror for today, but we're also going to use it as a blush. And I feel like we could use this one, just because we have this cool toned look. So this is, I suck at explaining what I'm actually using. This is the Chanel Face and Eye Palette for Spring 2023 in the shade Tendresse. It has a bronzer, 2 blushes, and something of a blush topper slash highlighter. And I love this palette. I've been using this bronzer so much because it's a very nice rosy neutral tone. And I've been using these blushes a lot too. But today I already have enough bronze, so we're just going to use one of these blushes. I'm going to use this intimidating red one, just to show you that this is nothing to be afraid of. And I'm quite fair, but as you can see, these baked gelée powders, they just blend out beautifully. And I'm just using a little bit. I'm sure you can build it up to be a lot more intense, but this is just pretty for me. A nice wintry, snowy look with these cheeks. I'm also going to add a little bit of the blush topper. Which is also really pretty. Yeah, I love this little palette over here. So recently I discovered that I haven't been trying a lot of new highlighters lately. And I feel like that's also because not a lot of highlighters have come out. But I thought I'd do something about that. So I purchased a couple of new highlighters. And the ones that I really liked are the Kimchi Chic Pearls Gone Wild highlighter in Hope. And I decided to pick up the Michaela and Glamlight trio before it was never sold again. So I've been loving these also as inner corner shades. These are more of a green and blue palette. And then this one is almost like a multichrome kind of shift, which also has a lot of blue in it. And that's really pretty. So I kind of want to use this one today. And the funny thing about this one is, as intimidating as it may seem, it has quite a sheer base. And that's exactly what I'm looking for in a highlighter, because I put my blush up really high and I don't want it to become ashy. What I do want is a little bit of sparkle on top. So this is exactly what this is doing. It's just a little bit extra. Now I don't know when the NYX Lip Drip Fat Oils came out, but I'm pretty sure I mentioned them in last month's favorites. So I'm going to bring to the table my very brand new favorite, which is this thing from Wet n Wild. This is the Rose Comforting Lip Color. It's a tint and balm that you have to twist and it doesn't go down. So it's a very emollient formula, but this color is just so pretty and I love it. So we're going to use it. I feel like it will match with the rest of the look. So what I like to use is this lip liner from Makeup Revolution in the shade Brunch. This was in a lip kit. I don't really particularly love the liquid lipstick that came with this, but I do like the liner. It's a nice mauvey pink. And then I click up a little bit of the Wet n Wild. By the way, this is in the shade Biscotti Mommy. And it's this beautiful baby pink. And I like to press my lips together to make sure there's no streaks. And the beauty of this formula is that right now it looks a little bit heavy, and it starts to bunch up a little bit at some places. Don't touch it anymore, just leave it for 10 minutes or so, and it'll settle in your lips. It will be just as shiny and just as effective, but it'll look a little bit more, well, settled. I'm haunted. Well, we're at the end of the video anyway. So this is my full face of March favorites. I absolutely love this look. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will hopefully see you in the next one.